If you are studying for NBME or Step 1, USMLE Step 1, then this video is for you. But before you watch this video, do not be selfish. Share this video with somebody who needs to watch it. So for those who don't know, my name is Ashanti. I'm a medical student. I'm from Jamaica, but I'm currently attending medical school in Dominica. It took me 10 months before I did my NBME and passed, and a few persons have asked me for advice on what they can do, and some persons want a little insight into my experience. So that is why I am doing this video. So yes, as I said, it took me 10 months before I did my NBME and passed. I have not done my step 1 as yet, so I will not be sharing what I did. I'll be sharing what you should do so you can pass, because I believe it doesn't have to take you 10 months like how it took me. It can take you a less longer time, because after I finished, well, for my school, I'll get to it. After I finished MD5, I started with a plan that I thought would work. But as I was studying, it felt a bit more difficult. I was like, this is more difficult than I thought it would be. This is taking way longer than I thought it would take, because realistically, when I started preparing for the USMLE or NBME, I did not think it would have taken me this long. So the whole process did take a toll on me, because come on, it's 10 months, especially when you don't plan for it to take 10 months. Things are not going according to your plan. But what changed things for me is when I started to be mentored. A few persons who have done it already, or some persons who are in the process of doing it, started sharing with me what I was doing wrong, or what I need to do better to get the results that I need to get. And it's when persons started giving me advice that things started to change. So yeah, I've said a lot. Let's get into what this is all about. So in this video, I'll be breaking down what I've gathered through this process and what I've gathered from others who have helped me as well. So I'll be speaking based on two groups. So the first group is if you are starting medical school from scratch, how you should study. And if you don't fall into that group, don't skip the video, because I'm also speaking to a second group. If you did not do everything I mentioned to the first group and you're at the end of MD5, what should you do? I'm also getting to you, well, us, since I'm in that category after this video, sorry. So for my medical school, which I'm not going to say the name of because this is not a paid sponsorship, so I'm just kidding, guys. But so for my medical school, basic sciences has 5 semesters: MD1, MD2, MD3, MD4, and MD5. So I'm going to start with the resources that you should move. Let me remove this. So for example, if in MD1, you are currently doing cardiovascular, then you are going to do all of cardiovascular in the first aid, all of cardiovascular in Melman. So this is known as Melman Medical. This is a must do, must do. You heard what I said? Must do. But if you don't choose to do it, that's up to you. But yeah. So you're going to do first aid on cardio. The Melman document on cardio, he also has videos, but I have not tried the videos, but you can try them out. What I have used is this PDF. The PDF has content at the beginning, and at the end of the PDF there are questions, and it prepares you for NBME. That is what this document is for specifically. You are also going to get a question bank, either UWorld or Ambos. The question bank is important because it helps to track your progress. For example, the question bank has 5,000 questions, and then based on the questions that you've done, it keeps giving you a percentage as you do the questions, like how much have you gotten right out of all the questions that you have done. And then boards and beyond. Chef's kiss. So, Words and Beyond is basically videos, very helpful, very well explained. So, this is what you're going to use for content. So, the moment you cover a system or a topic, you do the system in the first aid, the mailman, you do questions on the system, and then you also do videos. And I'm going to give an example now. So say in MD1 you're currently doing cardio. So what you're going to do is all of these things, and then for the URL you do the questions on cardio. But as you get to MD2, things will start to change just a tiny bit. So whenever you do a system, do the question on it. And the reason why I give you this in depth is because you are not just preparing for your internal exam at my school after every month we have a block exam. You're not just, and then at the end of the block exams we have a NBME to do. So you're not just preparing for the block exam. When you're studying, study one time for the NBME and step one. So study in depth, because that saves you time. You're not just studying now to pass the block exam. That is what you're going to do. So for MD2, what you are going to do for questions, you are still going to keep this format for whatever subjects or systems you are doing in MD2. But for the questions now, we're going to move to each day doing focused and mixed questions. For example, focused means what you are currently studying. So if you're currently studying endocrine, then endocrine is your focused. So you're going to set a limit like 40 questions per day, just an example, and 20 of that will be 20 focus questions, so 20 questions on endocrine, and then 20 mixed questions from ND1, because you don't want to forget what you have already done. So the mixed questions, meaning that if in MD1 I had done, say, cardio and pharmacology and maybe reproductive systems, then I'll do 20 questions mixing cardio, pharm, reproductive system. These are just an example. So, yeah, 20 questions. So you're going to do 20 focused, 20 mixed, because you don't want to forget what you have already studied. And then for MD3, same format. What you are currently studying now, each day you will do like 20 focus and 20 mixed. But this time the mixed questions will be mixed concepts from both MD1 and 2, because we're not just studying for MD3, we need to remember things ultimately for when we finish and we have to do the NBME. Then for MD4, you're going to do focus questions based on what you are currently doing right now, and you will also be doing mixed questions on everything that you've done from MD1 to MD3. And then when you come to MD5, at our school for MD5, we have two courses. We have board review, which is basically reviewing key details for the NBME step one, and we also have what is called CAM. I think CAM is complementary medicine. But in MD5, right away, what you are going to do is a self-assessment immediately. You have CAM, you have board review, you still have to go to those classes, but immediately, do a self-assessment. So this is for those who are starting fresh. No, after MD5, back at the self assessment, this is where the two groups meet in this explanation. First group, those who did everything that I mentioned before. Second group, those who did not do the things mentioned. This is where the two groups meet, but at different points, I would reference the different groups, so pay attention. All right. So after MD5, you do a self assessment immediately, regardless of which group you are in, regardless if you did everything I mentioned before or if you did not. Now, after that self assessment, this is what is going to happen. If the self assessment was good, you submit it. I will get at what you will do if it was not good. So if it was good, you submit it. But there is something that you have to do regardless if the self-assessment was good or not. If you pass, you submit it. But even if you pass, you have to review your self-assessment. And this is what I do. I recommend for reviewing your self-assessment. Try to take at least 2 days max to review it. You don't do anything else for those 2 days. 2 days, you review your self assessment, and you don't just review the incorrects, you are reviewing all 200 questions. This is what I do. I make a document on Google Docs. So I review everything, but I do this specifically for the incorrects. I make a document. Bye bye. Sorry. I make a document on Google Docs with the incorrects. And for example, incorrect question, I copy and paste the question if it has any images, and then I do a few things. I put why did I get it wrong, and then I put an answer. And this doesn't just apply for the self assessment or your NBME exam, it also refers to when you are doing your regular U World or AMBOS. Whenever you are reviewing your incorrects, you have to ask yourself this question: why did I get it wrong? Was it that I was running out of time? Was it that I did not know the concept? Was it that I knew but I was a little unsure? Or was it that I missed a key clue in the question stem? So that's what you're going to do when you're reviewing your self-assessment for the incorrects. Copy and paste the question: why did I get it wrong? What should have pointed me to the answer based on this question stem that was given? And also, could I have answered this question in 1 minute 15 seconds? Because the exam is also about timing. So those are some things you can ask yourself while you're reviewing your self-assessment or your U-World. So that's what I do for my self-assessment. I make a Google document with the questions I got wrong. I take note of why I got it wrong. And if it's something that I didn't understand the concept as well, that means that that particular concept, I have to go back to it. Also, what I do, I order the scores. The self-assessment gives you a breakdown. For example, it will give you the different systems like cardio, repro, and a percentage. For example, cardio, 57%, meaning that out of all the questions on cardio, you got 57% right. Maybe repro, 80%. So what I do, I order the scores from lowest to highest, so I can clearly see which were the lowest ones and which were the highest ones, so I see which one needs more work in. So, and by the way, whenever you're doing your question bank and not just your self-assessment, pay attention to concepts that you keep getting wrong repeatedly. So that is it. After NBD 5, if your self assessment is good, you submit it. But regardless of whether it was good or not, you have to review your self assessment, and you have to, well, you can order your scores like I did, just so you can clearly see your weak areas and your strong areas. So this applies to both groups, as I mentioned. Now I'm going to go to the group number 1. Group number 2, I'm coming back to you. Number 1, for those who had done everything that I mentioned to do. So after you do your self-assessment, if it was good, you submit it. If it was not good, this is what you are going to do. Group number 1, you have studied. There is no more study to study. So what you're going to do, you're going to take maybe 3 weeks. You choose depending on, it's just an approximate. You're going to take 3 weeks. Remember those self-assessment score? So for example, if I got cardio, I'm going to put like 56, gastrointestinal 58, farm 72. So I order the scores from lowest to highest. So this is what you're going to do now for group 1. If it was good, you submit it. If it was not good, you're going to give yourself 3 weeks just to do questions. So each day set a limit. Say for example, each day you are going to do 60 questions, just an example. 30 of those questions should be on weak topics. 30 should be on the strong topics, because what one of my friends told me, so he says your self-assessment, the areas that are lowest, your self-assessment is like a basket. The areas that you are leaking from, you need to plug those areas so you can stop leaking and bring up your self-assessment score. So you're going to do, for example, 60 questions each day, 30 on your weak areas, 30 on your strong areas. So you can do two things. You can do, for example, cardio is a weak area. So today you do 30 on cardio, which is a weak area, then 30 questions on farm, which is a strong area. So we're working on our weak areas, but we're also maintaining our strong areas. And you can also do another thing. Instead of just doing 30 on one weak area, you can also mix it. Say cardio and GI were weak, so you do 30 mixed with cardio and GI. Say 30 farm and repo were strong, 30 mixed farm and repo. So you can mix the strong areas, mix the weak areas, or you can just focus on 30, one specific weak area, 30, one specific strong area. And another day you can do 30 strong and 30 mixed. And then the other day you do 30 weak and 30 mixed. And another thing that I recommend today, if you time yourself, then the next day you do tutor mode. So I think for NBME, it's recommended that you spend 1 minute 15 seconds answering a question. So when you're doing your 60 questions for the day, time yourself 1 minute 15 seconds times the amount of questions to see how long you should do it for. So if you time yourself today, do it in regular, non-timed mode the next day. So timing helps you to build that endurance and practice your speed for the exam. And the non-timed just helps you to think and analyze without being rushed. So time yourself today, don't time yourself the other day. And after these 3 weeks, you will take another self-assessment. If it is good, you submit it. If it is but the if it's good, you submit it, but you should also pay attention. If the last self-assessment you did, if you got 56, how much did you get now? Did your score improve? Not just your score, did your weak areas improve? Cardio, you got 56, is it improved now? Are your strong areas still maintained or increased? Farm, you got 72. Are you still maintaining that 72, or are you increased? Now I'm going to move to the second group, the group who did not do everything that I said to do in the beginning. You finish MD5, you're wondering what to do. So now I'm moving on to that group. So the first thing you're going to do is to take the self-assessment. You do all that I mentioned, review your self-assessment, order your scores from lowest to highest, and analyze them. If it was good, you submit it. If it was not good, I have two pathways that I want you to take. This is for those finish MD5, you did not do everything I mentioned. If your score was, in a sense, you had some weak areas, but you had good strong areas, and your score wasn't so bad. Maybe your score was in the 60s, you get what I mean, or high 50s. This is what you are going to do. You are going to take 3 weeks and do the same thing that I had mentioned to group one. Capiche? No. If your score was not good, in the sense that you were in the 40s or low 50s, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take, if you realize that it's really a content issue, that your areas are weak all throughout the self-assessment, then you're going to take 2 months or less. It just depends on you to really cover some content. Remember that this is the group who did not do the content well before. 2 months for each system: first aid, boards and beyond, Melman Medical, your Q bank. And as I mentioned, when you're doing the Q bank, do focused questions on what you are currently studying, but also mixed questions. Just mix the Q bank, random questions, don't pick specific questions. So for example, 20 on cardio, which is what you may be studying now, then 30 mix the Q bank, random questions. So the mixed questions is so you don't forget what you've already studied, and the focus is what you're currently doing right now. And then after you do this 2 months of studying, then you do a self-assessment. Has my score improved? Has my weak areas improved? Have my strong areas been maintained? And then if it's good, you submit it. If it's not good, go back to the drawing board. It's a lot of going back to the drawing board, and then you do what I told the other group. So after you do the self-assessment, you're going to give you, if it was good, you submit. If it was not good, you give yourself 3 weeks to do questions. Weak areas, strong areas. This is day one. Day two, weak and mixed. Day three, strong and mixed. And it's like you continue that process because you're not sticking with content. At some point, you'll graduate from studying and just mostly doing questions, because questions help, because you've already studied already. You need to learn how to active recall, pull on the information that you know, and by studying, it helps you to learn as well and to remember what you've already studied. Now, if you're studying and you see that there's a topic that you didn't get as well, then you take some time to do that topic. But we're not sitting in the books and studying as much anymore at this stage. So it's continually repeating that. And this is for studying. Now I'm going to go over exam taking strategies. In this part of the video, I will be looking at exam taking strategies, and I'm not sure if I forgot to mention anything, but if you have any questions, you can comment, and then as best as possible, I will try to answer. So what I'll look at now is exam taking strategies. So whether you're doing your self-assessment, whether you're doing your actual NBME, USMLE, or just your practice questions from Ambos, UWorld, whatever, these are some strategies that you should take. Let me interject a bit. So if you don't have the money to buy the actual Ambos, the actual UWorld, you can use My Q Banks. That is what you look for. So it's basically every Q bank in My Q bank. It has Ambos, UWorld, etc. And so you can choose which Q banks you want to use from My Q banks. You can use the Ambos, you can use the UWorld, you can use both. I wouldn't recommend using two Q banks, but you get what I mean. It also has self assessments that are not the actual. My Q bank also has self assessments, which are not the actual official ones that give you the breakdown, but it has a self assessment that you can just use for your own practice to see what your score is, even though it won't give you the breakdown. So you can check out My Q bank. It's a more affordable option for us. Yeah. So back to the strategies. So if you're doing a question and you do not know what it is, you absolutely have no idea, then guess it and move on. Because if you don't know it, you just don't know it, and you don't want to spend too much time on that question. And then remember, the time is going, and that will cost you the time further down that you could have used to answer something that you may have known. So you don't want to spend too long on one question, and then that time is gone, and then as you move forward, you're running out of time. The next thing, eliminating. So whenever you're doing a question, when you read the question stem and then you look at the options that you have, for example, if I pick option B as my answer, make sure that you have a reason why you are picking option B for your answer. And then if you eliminated all the other options, so you did not pick A, C, D, and E, you must have a reason in your head why you did not pick the others and why you picked B. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. And sometimes when you have a specific condition, the question may not include everything in the condition. It may just be one thing and then something may be a little bit off. And the thing is, the question, when you're answering the question, you should ask yourself, what is it most likely pointing to? Which condition is it most likely pointing to? And back to eliminating. If you see a question that you don't know, don't panic. Don't panic. So this is what I do if I don't know what the question stem is talking about. I eliminate. So I go to option A. So option A, for example, maybe pulmonary embolism, and I'm like, pulmonary embolism doesn't present like the question stem is talking about, so it can't be pulmonary embolism. Option B, pneumothorax doesn't present like that, so eliminate. So I eliminate, and then whatever is left must be the answer. Moving on. So for example, for the exam, you also have to manage your time wisely. So when I'm doing the self-assessment, I give myself a range. So it's 50 questions per block. So I time myself and I say, by the time I reach 25 questions, which is half a block, I must have at least 38 minutes remaining. So just give yourself a little time marker and manage your time well, because I think it's 1 minute 15 seconds that is recommended per questions. And the ones that answer them as quickly as possible, so you can spend, you'll have enough more time to answer the most difficult ones. And for now, biostats, for me, biostat is like a little sacrifice. So for example, if you're doing a biostats question and you see that it is going to take more than 1 minute 15 seconds to answer, click it, guess it, mark it, move on. If you have time, you come back to it, because you can't spend 5 minutes answering a biostat question and then you're going to run out of time with the other questions. The other questions you might know more than the biostats question. You can move on and get those questions right. But if you really can answer the biostats question within 1 minute 15 seconds, go ahead and answer it. But if the question is going to take too long to answer, then guess it, mark it, move on, come back to it if you have time. And one thing I do, but you don't have to do what I do. The exam for me isn't getting 100%. It is maximizing my marks so I can pass. It is 4 blocks, 50 questions per block. So it is managing my time well and applying all of these strategies so I can pass the exam, maximize my marks across the block so I can pass, and for me to get 100%. But if you want to get 100%, do what you have to do. And yeah, so maximize your marks across the block. And the next thing, relax. That's what somebody told me. Relax and keep moving forward. It may take you a while to pass the exam. It may take you a while to get to your goals, but keep moving forward. Take a break if you need to, slow down if you need to, stop if you need to, but get back up. Because I told somebody if I'm walking and I'm going down the road, if I stop and I get back up, or even if I walk slowly, as long as I don't stop, ultimately I must reach the destination. So as long as you keep moving forward, you may have stumbling blocks, you may stop, you may pause, you may take a break. As long as you don't stop permanently, you must reach your goal as long as you keep moving forward. So don't give up, don't focus on anybody else. It's not you against anybody else, it's you against yourself. And block out the noise. Block out the noise. Don't focus on anybody and the noise that is around you, because your life and everything that you have going on is nobody's business. So focus on you, focus on what you have going on. Take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, and take a break if you need to. Keep moving forward. As long as you don't stop, you must. It's impossible for you not to reach your goal. And if you have any questions, comment and let me know. Thank you for watching.